I don't know what advice you give to aspiring players, aspiring coaches, and how they can just be a better version of themselves, especially during a time like this, I guess.
Well, if you're listening today, you're going to get better. And this is not, the more you listen and the more you find out from other people what people are doing, the more that settles into you and what you want to do. And that's what I did when I was a young coach. Obviously, even before I was with Tex and Phil Jackson, trying to learn all that stuff there with them. I had other coaches. Pat Riley was a big fan. I was a big fan of Pat Riley. I was a big fan of Chuck Daly and what he did with defensively with his business. So I'm not just Tex. I'm an amalgamation of many coaches that I have learned throughout my career. When I was in college, I was a young writer. I wanted to be a writer, and I was one of the things that they taught me in literature when you want to be a writer is that you read Faulkner, you read Hemingway, you read, all the great writers of the time. And in many ways, you'll copy what they do, but you'll copy them to a point where it will become your own. And so you look at different styles and you try to imitate those styles, and eventually that style will become your own. And that's what I felt, what I brought to the basket, to me, for my coaching career, looking and watching other coaches and figuring out what they do. And I learned a lot from Ron. I learned a lot from Chuck Reyes. I've learned a lot from watching Norman Black, coaches that I have coached against. So I think that's number one. Number one, you've got to expose yourself. If you're a young coach, expose yourself to whatever you can, and then figure out what's right for you, what goes along with your personality. Not everybody can run the triangle. Chuck Reyes hated the triangle because it was too restrictive for him. He wanted more freedom. And for me, I don't like the dribble drive because it's too point guard dependent. You have to have a great point guard. So there's different. That didn't appeal to me, but so certain things will appeal to you. And then lastly, the second thing I want to say lastly is that learn to be a leader. You cannot coach unless you can lead. You have to be able to lead. And you can choose to develop your leadership. It's not inborn. You're not born a leader. Some people might have a little higher levels of instincts, but you're not born to be a leader. You can develop yourself as a leader. And I know as a leader, for me, from 1990 or 1995 up to now, I have changed dramatically in terms of my leadership skills. And that's because I watch John Maxwell. I do Franklin Covey stuff. Will Smith is a real favorite of mine, the actor. Some of the stuff he talks about. But I learned it from leadership gurus. I read a lot, and I have audio tapes that I listen to in my car about leadership. And those are the things that keeps me developing as a coach, because I continually develop my leadership skills. So if you want, I say from a beginner, expose yourself as much as you can. If you're an intermediate coach and you want to jump to another level, don't worry about the X and O's. Don't worry about systems. Don't worry about that stuff. Worry about leadership. Develop yourself as a leader. That will take you to a higher level and take your team to a higher level.
That's so true. Thank you so much, Coach Tim. I remember you were giving me stuff to listen to before too for those leadership stuff. But hey, you're right. I think myself, Coach Anton, Coach Paulo learned so much today from you. So we just want to thank you so much for your time. And that was a great show. I'm sure our viewers will also really learn a lot. So thank you so much, Coach Tim.
Warning on Coach Paulo Layud for delaying the game. Technical foul on Coach Anton Altamirano for resentment to a call. Coach Charles Chu out of the playing courts. Coaches Unfiltered. No refs, no techs.